and genomic prediction calculates an overall health score for each embryo. So, you're not born yet, you're just an embryo, but we're going to give you a score. 1 out of 10, 2 out of 5. Are you worth becoming an adult or not? Are you worth the birth or not? In its simulations, the company says that its tests can reduce the risk of choosing an embryo that later develops type 1 diabetes by 72%. But that figure assumes that the simulated couple is selecting between 5 viable embryos, is of European ancestry, and has a family history of the disease. For most people who don't have a genetic predisposition to type 1 diabetes, the chances that their child will develop the condition are exceedingly rare. But sometimes that sort of prediction and guarantee is not enough for some people. They want a guarantee. I want to make sure my kid's not going to be sick. Comparing the highest scoring individual in each group with the rest of the data set, they found that their test would have reduced the risk of choosing an embryo with a high chance of developing almost any of the 20 diseases that they screened for, and would have improved life expectancy between a day and a month for most conditions tested. So, we can manipulate you a little bit. We might be able to give you an extra day of life or an extra month of life. Some specialists worry that thinking of embryos in terms of their health scores could increase the stigma around some conditions, especially those affecting mental health. For now, genomic prediction offers only one mental health-related test for schizophrenia. But the company's co-founder has hinted he'd like to see tests for intelligence. Some people with a mental health disorder, their diagnosis forms a much more crucial part of their identity than for people with cancer or heart disease. That means selecting against embryos with a risk of mental health conditions could add further stigma. This is taking us a step closer where people are narrowing their version of what is acceptable in a child. The United States, PGT, as with most other direct-to-consumer genetic tests, is not subject to close scrutiny and evaluation by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. Such tests are much more strictly regulated in the U.K., where the Human Fertilization and Embryology Authority say they can be used to avoid serious inherited illnesses. But where do they draw the line? That is the question of the 20th century. And it's interesting that the terrific American playwright in the 1920s, Eugene O'Neill, said the topic of many of his plays was the problem of the 20th century. The 20th century is the failure of science and technology to replace the death of the old God. And here you go. God works in mysterious ways. Science says, hold my beer. We can figure things out. We know where this is going to go before it goes. Why have a schizophrenic child if you don't have to? Interesting questions. But where's the morality in that sort of decision? And maybe you wouldn't have a, let's say, low intelligence child? You would prefer to have a high intelligence child? Is there a difference? Is there a distinction? Should it be made? Is it dangerous to assume that everyone wants the perfect child? Are there some people who want to have a child who is dissimilar. Are there factions in the world that would want to create the perfect criminal mind? A mind that doesn't think like regular people, a mind of a murderer. Can you imagine these gene pools, these embryonic testing pads? Where you have the perfect child for mainstream America, the rich people, right? Smart, beautiful, lovely, athletic. Then you have a division, perhaps in the Department of Defense. Let's create in the embryo the perfect soldier. No morality, no compunction against killing, follows orders, maybe slightly dumber so they don't question the meaning of life. What about underground embryos? The syndicate, the crime family, the mafia dons. Let's create a soldier there that we like. Strong, tough, immoral, not schizophrenic. We need to know exactly how they're going to behave. Let's just breed these certain class of people so they can go into the world and do our bidding. And they will obey, and they will not say anything against us. And the whole world was built on slavery. So if you could, build a whole family of obedient slaves, not based on skin color anymore, but just based on biogenetic programming. Maybe you'd make them all blind, so you would just teach them how to move one rock to another place, how to stack one bit of wood upon another. They don't need to see what they're doing, they can just feel it with their hands. Free methodology, wood stacking, rock rolling people. Sisyphus in an embryo. Sure, they're being punished. Punished for a previous life, punished for something else they did. The gods are after them. Well, we don't want the perfect embryo. We just want an embryo that serves our purpose. And there are some who say, well, that's kind of what's going on with the indoctrination of children. Some say into religion. You put them into a certain belief system from early on. They don't question authority. They don't question where they're going. They don't question how they got there. Just keep your head down, believe, pray. We'll send you to a religious school where you will be taught religion for 8 hours a day, and then 1 hour a day you'll maybe learn some math, but you won't know how to read or write because your teachers who are teaching you don't know how to read or write. But they do know the religious text inside and out. And that's really the most important thing. So do we already have a form of embryonic selection in the afterbirth, in the growing up of a child? Formed by society and culture and religion and belief that this is the way something should be. And we have power in numbers. There are billions of us against millions of you. And we're going to win because no one questions our authority. And that is the danger we face as a society right now. And in 20, 30, 50 years, it's going to be even more dangerous to try to live an independent, moral, free life where someone or something is not trying to control you. And now it's time for our final break of the day. Returning in a moment.